Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Dolphins, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Lionel Messi's son, Thiago, scores 11 goals in U13 MLS Cup against Atlanta United's squad. Over the past couple of decades, soccer fans have become accustomed, to say the least, with seeing the name Messi on the ledger next to a litany of goals. It happened again this week, but with a couple of twists. Firstly, there were 11 goals scored by Messi in just one match, and the other is that the first name of the Messi in question isn't Lionel, the 8-time Ballon d'Or winner, it's Thiago, his eldest son. Thiago has been playing in the Inter Miami Academy while his father plays for the MLS squad, and he seems to have settled in very nicely. He dominated this U13 MLS Cup match against Atlanta United, one of the club's biggest rivals, scoring all but one of his team's 12 goals in an impressive shutout victory. It seems like the Barcelona legend has trained his son well, as Thiago is picking up right where his dad will presumably soon be leaving off. If this performance is any indication, the family legacy is in good hands, but Thiago isn't the only one set to carry it on. 9-year-old Mateo and 6-year-old Ciro seem to be fans of the beautiful game and will likely be chipping in on the pitch as well before too long. Let's address the lone goal scored by a different player, Diego Luna Jr. If you're a fan of the hit Star Wars series Andor, you might be wondering if this youngster has another famous father, actor Diego Luna. However, while there isn't much biographical information available on most U13 players, a quick search on Luna the actor will tell you that his only son, Geronimo, is 17 years old, and of course not named Diego. Howard Twilley, an original Dolphin who had a Super Bowl TD to cap 17-0 season, dies at 81. Howard Twilley, who played for the Dolphins in their first season of existence and caught the only touchdown pass in the Super Bowl win that completed the only undefeated season in NFL history, died on Wednesday at 81. The University of Tulsa, where Twilley starred collegiately, confirmed his passing to the Associated Press. Twilley's 28-yard touchdown reception from Bob Greasy in the first quarter of Super Bowl VII gave the Dolphins a lead they would never relinquish in completing their 17-0 undefeated season. Twilley had 20 catches for 364 yards and 3 touchdowns during that 72 season. Drafted in the 12th round of the AFL Draft and 14th round of the NFL Draft in 1966, Twilley caught 10 passes for 128 yards in the Dolphins' inaugural season later that year. He and Norm Evans were the only original Dolphins who played on the 1972 undefeated team. Twilley went on to play 11 seasons for the Dolphins and finished his pro career with 212 receptions for 3,064 yards and 23 touchdowns. He established career highs in receptions, 39, and receiving yards, 604, in 1968. Twilley started 82 of his 123 appearances for the Dolphins, including 11 starts in 13 regular season appearances in the Dolphins' perfect season. In 1965, Twilley set 2 NCAA records that stood for more than 2 decades: most receiving yards in a season with 1,779, and most receptions in a season with 134. That year, Twilley was the Heisman runner-up to Southern California's Mike Garrett. Born in Houston on Christmas Day in 1943, Twilley was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1992 and was inducted into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame in 1995 after his NFL career ended in 1976. Twilley owned 28 stores of the sporting goods chain, The Athlete's Foot, before selling them in 1990. I tried to be prepared for things in life before they came up. I knew I couldn't play forever, Twilley told SteelersTakeaways.com in a 2020 interview. And no one made big money then. I made an average of $40,000 over my 11-year career. Asked in that interview about being a member of the only undefeated team in NFL history, Twilley said, "How does anyone feel about being the only one to accomplish something? It feels special, certainly. But it's not really that important. Winning World War II, that was important. Lots of things are more important. But I was 28 then and didn't think of things that way. Twilly was living in Dallas in 2022 at the time of the Dolphins' 50th anniversary celebration for their undefeated team. Twilly is the 22nd player from the 1972 team who has died. All of the team's coaches are deceased. Raheem Mostert addresses Tyreek Hill's comments and whether he wants to leave the Miami Dolphins. It was a rough end to the season for the Miami Dolphins, one that saw their season fall short of the playoffs and their superstar Tyreek Hill make some cryptic statements that made a divorce from the Finns seem very likely. However, according to his teammate Raheem Mostert, that's not the case. Mostert joined the God Bless Football podcast on Thursday, and he says that the Cheetah was speaking out of frustration in the moment and that he doesn't want to leave the Dolphins, he wants to stay, Mostert said. Being a competitor, right? You're in that spot where you want to win. You want to be successful. He already has a Super Bowl. He won. He knows what it takes to get to that level. And with us, it was tough because we're looking at the scoreboard, we're watching the Broncos play. The Jets had the Broncos game up the entire game. We're like, all right, they're up 30-0 against the Chiefs. Last game of the season. Yeah, they're going to the playoffs, and we can't do anything about it. From that standpoint, just frustrating watching that, and still having to go out there and play and compete and put our best foot forward. At the end of the game, when he makes those comments, he's just bummed out. It's just the competitive nature. I would have said those things, but I don't have enough courage to go up there and say it like he does. Right after the season is over, that's super raw. That's authentic though. That's how he feels. He's disgusted about the way the season played out for himself. This is the first year where he hasn't gone to the Pro Bowl. Hill said the following after the Dolphins' season-ending 32-20 loss to the New York Jets. This is my first time that I haven't been in the playoffs. For me, I've got to do what's best for me and my family, if that's here or wherever the case may be. I'm about to open up that door for myself. I'm opening the door. I'm out, bro. It was great playing here, but at the end of the day, I've got to do what's best for my career. Because I'm too much of a competitor to be, just, out there. On one hand, it's understandable that Hill would be frustrated. He was coming into a season where his peers called him the best player in all of football, and he delivered the worst statistical season of his career. Granted, his quarterback play and his wrist injury limited what he could do as a player, but that doesn't make it any less frustrating for him week to week. However, his agent Drew Rosenhaus didn't chalk it up to momentary frustration last month when asked if Tyreek Hill wanted to stay in Miami, saying instead that he wasn't sure what Hill wanted to do. So, let me just say this, I've got to have that conversation with him, Rosenhaus said. I'm not going to speak for him. We'll discuss that. That's going to really be something we work over. I'm not going to say he does, he doesn't. That's a discussion I'm going to have that I haven't had yet. It's been a month since the Dolphins' loss and Hill's comments all went down. He certainly had time to cool down and focus on a better 2025. We'll find out as the offseason goes on which direction Hill's mood towards staying with the Dolphins points. At least one player already thinks it's towards staying in South Florida. And you, fan? What do you think of Tyreek Hill? Leave your opinion in the comments.